Seriously guys, it is the middle of August and I already have the studio light in order to film at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We return you now to Scotland with its regularly scheduled broadcast of rain. It is the summer MIXTAPEATHON! Hey! I didn't do the TBR, I'm too sad to be funny. It's Leanne and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to continue to lie about being happy about the rest of summer. For today I bring you my summer mixtape readathon TBR. If you don't know anything about the summer mixtape readathon, I will link you up here and down in the description below to my announcement video which gives you more details. But essentially the readathon is running from the 1st to the 14th of August. It is going to be 2 entire weeks of summer reading fun and it is all based around your favourite summer songs, or rather our favourite summer songs, because we all British booktubers here and this is a quintessential summer holiday going on here, a quintessential trip to Blackpool. We're doing sandcastles and Mr. Whippies in the memory of not putting on enough sunscreen. Thank you, mother. And we're doing it all with you and with this amazing bingo board. But before we get into my TBR, I would first like to just remind you guys that the opening live show for the readathon is going to be over on the wonderful Victoria's channel. It will be coming to you at 6:30 PM British summertime. I will leave a time converter down below in the comments along with the link to it so you can set yourself a little reminder. So, all of the admin out of the way, let's get into the things that I have the choices that I have made. Here they are. Here are my choices, and I think it may be evident for pause for the computer to sound like it's taking off, because despite the fact that it is rainy and overcast outside, it is still incredibly humid. Have you seen my hair? But anyway, yes, back to my very adult choices that I have made for myself. Choices which are definitely in keeping with prompts, may not entirely be in keeping with the spirit. So let me reintroduce you to our beautiful bingo board. Here it is in all its true summery glory and none of my fakeness. So for our first reading prompt we have Here Comes the Sun, read a book with nature on the cover. And actually this one is very on brand for summer. I don't think I'm going to get yelled at for this one. This one completely fits the prompt almost too well, almost spookily well. This is The Castaways by Lucy Clarke and it is literally about a summer vacation gone incredibly wrong. I actually forgot that I had this book on my shelves until my wonderful friend Lauren, I will link her bookstagram down below, she will definitely be there for some of our mixtape readathon sprints, so you will get to meet Lauren, wherein I can blame her in person for making me read this book. Lauren reminded me that this existed and I was like, oh, a light bulb went on, and I thought that will be perfect for this prompt and also for, you know, being a true reflection of horrifying summer vacation. Although, you know, in my childhood I was never in a plane crash, so I guess that my vacations weren't quite this bad. This book is essentially about two sisters who are on their way to their dream vacation together. I believe they're going to Fiji. I think this is going to be like a scuba diving, boats, bikini, an islandy summer vacation. But just before they are about to board the plane, they have a massive argument. The argument to end all arguments, and only one of the sisters ends up getting on the flight, which turns out to be very lucky slash not lucky at all, depending on which sister you're rooting for in this situation, because the plane crashes on a very remote island which is not Fiji and there are no survivors. Switch to present day and the sister who is left alive, the sister who was left behind, is now racked with survivor's guilt and absolutely obsessed with finding out what actually happened to that plane and to her missing sister. Not gonna lie, I am so pleased that Lauren reminded me that this was on my shelves, because this sounds exactly the kind of like keep you hooked, page turning, really fast read thriller that I want to be kicking off the readathon with. And on the back it says, this is no ordinary holiday, this is no ordinary island, this is no ordinary beach read. And you never know, I might actually end up reading some of it on a beach. Doesn't look like that next week. Next up we have perhaps my favourite prompt of the entire readathon, and it's my favourite prompt because I realised when I was picking my TBR for this readathon just how truly bah humbug I am about summer and how little I wanted to read books set in warm places. I don't know what happened, guys. My summery thing lasted like a week when we were planning the readathon, and now I'm just like, make it end! So that prompt is blame it on the weatherman, read an unseasonal read. I am a trash human, why am I like this? And for that I have picked When Other People Saw Us, They Saw the Dead. This is a BIPOC gothic anthology of haunted, creepy stories edited by Lauren T. Davila, and I am super excited. And you guys will probably recognise this book because it is literally just featured in my last video, which was a book haul when Victoria came here to Edinburgh to visit. I picked this one up independently and Victoria picked up a blind read book, which was an LGBT creepy horror book, and when she unwrapped it we had the same one. So it felt very fortuitous when I was perusing my shelves to pick a book for this prompt, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna tell you the truth, I just went straight to my horror shelves and went, what looks the most Halloween on this bookcase? And this was it. There are 24 separate short stories in this anthology, and I really think that a short, creepy horror book like this is quite good for a readathon. It'll go past quite quickly, I think. And I'm just going to read you the back of it because I think it does a better job of describing it than I could ever do. It says, a faceless man stalks a woman's nightmares in Hollywood. Canon Sistante? We'll go with that. A Canon Sistante is summoned to seek revenge in a monastery. A move from the projects to Manhattan leads to ominous shadows closing in. Two sisters discover a secret room in their farm, unearthing a sinister power. When Other People Saw Us, They Saw the Dead is an anthology of dark, unsettling writing from some of the most exciting contemporary BIPOC writers. Blending gothic, horror, folklore, fantasy and fairy tale, these eerie short stories will disturb, move and humour you. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it's already humouring me. So next up we... I'm going to be in so much trouble with so many people for this. Next up we have Cake by the Ocean, and this was one of our split prompts, so depending on your preference you could either read a spicy book because the song Cake by the Ocean is a little bit spicy, or you could interpret it quite literally as a book with food, either a book with food on the cover, a book about food, a book with food in the title, or maybe if you don't think you're going to get through as many fiction books as you might like in this readathon, then maybe you could find a new recipe book and you could peruse that. Any of these were valid interpretations, except I think the thing that I have done is, I don't know guys. Even for me, I'm pushing it with this one. I don't read outright spicy books very often. I do like romance. I have talked about that a lot before on the channel. I do read romance. But I don't really have anything that's exciting me at the moment that I'm desperate to pick up. And so I decided to try and find something featuring food. And because this readathon and all of these prompts are inextricably linked to Victoria in my head, I ended up thinking about a book that Victoria had recommended to me and which I went and picked up after she left, and it's about food. I have gone with Tender as the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. Yeah, throw things at me now. I mean, technically it's about food, guys. It's just technically about food. So in case you don't know why I'm mildly losing my mind about this one and anticipating people throwing things at me, it is because this one is set in a semi-dystopian future wherein I do not know the reason why. It doesn't say on the back. I'm sure Victoria did tell me, but for whatever reason we have stopped eating animal produce and animal meat. I think it is because of a plague. I'm sorry to use the P word, but I think that's the reason. And it was a plague on meat and animal produce, and so we no longer eat it in this future. But in this world, instead of just being vegan, we have instead turned to eating human flesh instead, to substitute all those hamburgers that we can't have anymore. And the main character in this novel, Marcos, is in the business of working in a human slaughterhouse. I was of course aware of this one before Victoria told me anything about it, but it's generally not my thing. This sits in a weird sort of subset of horror, which I would like group as like speculative body horror, and it's just not usually where I go. But again, Victoria sold it to me with such passion that I immediately went and picked up a book that I had never considered reading before. And so here it is, a book about alright, I'm gonna just put it away now. Put it away now. Fine, let's go back to the cheery summer things. Next up we've got We're Going to Ibiza. Sorry, tiny dance break there, only for the people who, like me, aren't a monster and feel compelled to sing that as soon as they hear the title. This is like an earworm, it's like an infection, it will never go away. This is what the 90s has done to me. For this one, we would like you to read a book which is set in another country. Now, I ran into a serious problem when I was choosing a book for this prompt, because a book set in another country is probably just over half of my library, and so it actually gave me too much choice. I was wheel spinning between genres. I had absolutely no way to narrow it down. There were plenty of books set in a warm, different country from me. It still didn't help me, and so I was absolutely delighted when I posted my Patreon book club poll for this month. So my book club is bi-monthly, and as luck would have it, this is the first time that we are experimenting with picking 2 titles for that 2-month block, so that you have 2 different genres to pick from if one of the genres is not your jam. I will be reading both, but my patrons only have to read one, whichever one they decide. And the one that is coming up at number 2 in that poll right now is not only a book set in another country, but it is a book set in another warm country. And so the choice was effectively taken out of my hands, which was good, because I'm not going to lie to you, I was in that stage of ADHD paralysis where I just wanted to sit on the floor and cry and be like, it's okay, I'll just read all of the warm books in my library, just all of them. And so the book that my patrons have effectively picked for me, have put me out of my misery by choosing, is Appointment with Death by Agatha Christie. This is the 19th book in the Poirot series by Agatha Christie, but as I have told people who regularly watch my channel for years, you can read the Poirot series in any order you so wish. You can either read it in publication order or just pick the books up to suit yourself, because there isn't really an internal chronology in the Poirot books. On the other hand, if you do pick up the Marple series, I would recommend reading from the first published to the last published, because there is an internal chronology in Marple books. She does get older as the books go on and more frail, and that plays into her decision making when she's solving mysteries. So there's just a little PSA for you if you do plan on picking up either of these series. Appointment with Death is one of the Poirots that I have previously read, so this will be a reread for me, but as I am trying to reread all of the Poirot and Marple books for just, you know, a little fun side project that I'm torturing myself with without really telling you guys about it very much, it fits in quite well. This is one of those fun Poirot plots where he's off in another country for a holiday. It's nothing to do with solving a mystery. He's just trying to enjoy himself, guys, and somebody is murdered and he is the person in the right position at the right time to solve the case. So this one is about the death of Mrs. Boynton. She is found in the ruins of Petra, sitting placidly as if she's just gone to sleep, with only a tiny injection mark on her wrist to give away the fact that she has been fatally injected with poison. And the really fun thing about Appointment with Death is that this is one of the truly judgy Poirot books. Poirot in the books is a lot more judgy than in any of the TV shows or movies that you have seen him in. Like, he's a lot more morally judgy. And as the book reminds me, Poirot says that Mrs. Boynton is of course the most detestable person that he has ever met, and so he's not surprised that somebody has tried to kill her. And yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? It's a Poirot mystery set in Jordan. It's a book in another country. I will be reading this one and thoroughly enjoying it, as I do all of my forays into Poirot land. So thanks to my patrons for taking this choice out of my hands. I do appreciate you, I do, I really do. And then finally, the last reading prompt that we have, if you wish to interpret it as such, is mixtape. And I have decided to take the reading prompt for it rather than choose free choice, because as previously discussed, free choice is not really doing very well for my brain at the moment. And so I am going with a book based on your favourite summer bop. I don't just have one favourite summer bop, I have hundreds of favourite summer bops, most of them really bad songs from the 90s with repetitive choruses. But when I was searching through my Spotify library to try and find something that would be suitable for this, Spotify did me a solid and it reminded me that You Can't Always Get What You Want by the Rolling Stones existed, and I was immediately like, I know exactly what book I'm picking up for that. This is Briefly a Delicious Life by Nell Stevens, and just to remind you guys, if you were considering doubling up your prompts for the readathon, having a book count for more than one space, this one would also count for the food prompt because it does have food on the cover. So yeah, just a reminder, if you are somebody who doesn't want to read 4 or 5 books for the readathon, you can just read 1 or 2 and make them fit as many prompts as you can. I would love to creatively see how many of you have managed to cram one book into as many of those prompts. Anyway, back to this one. First, before I say anything else about this one, I have to thank the wonderful people at Book Break for sending me over this book. I am very excited about it. This one is set in 1838 when Frederick Chopin, George Sand and her children travel to the ruins of a monastery where Blanca, a young girl, died 300 years ago. Blanca has been haunting the monastery ever since, watching various different types of people exist in that space, and she's never really felt any need to go anywhere else because, see, Blanca has dedicated herself to stopping men from doing things that men do, like the thing that they did to her that means that she is dead. And there have been plenty of men in this monastery to spend her time on. Just as this family turn up to the ruins of the monastery, Blanca is actually considering moving on. There hasn't been anybody there for a really long time. She's considering taking her haunting to the big city, and then this family arrive and she realises that it isn't really men that's holding her attention anymore, it is George Sand, who is very much a woman, the only woman that Blanca can now think about. But then the blurb says, but the rest of the village is suspicious of the newcomers, and as winter sets in, as George tries to keep her family and herself from falling apart, as Chopin writes prelude after prelude in despair on his tuneless piano, their stay looks likely to end in disaster. Does this not sound amazing? I think it sounds amazing. And again guys, I'm not gonna lie, just before I sat down to film this video, I may or may not have read the first chapter of this and had to be reminded by Harry that I was supposed to be filming. Actually, come to think of it, if I hadn't read the first chapter of this, I might not have needed to put on a studio light for this. Yay me! But the first chapter is very good and I want to read the rest of it now. Okay, thanks. Ooh. Why am I not ever coordinated enough to do that on first? Ooh, a receipt. Tell me my Waterstones point. That is a very sad Waterstones point balance. Never mind. So that's it guys. That is my TBR for the summer mixtape readathon. As always guys, if you have read any of these books, then please tell me what you thought about them down below. Do you have any other recommendations for books that I would like that would fit the prompts? Because you know, I might be an overachiever and read more than this in the readathon. And if you have made a TBR for the readathon, then don't forget to tag us on social media so that we can like it and follow you and reshare. I hope you are all as excited as I am for August 1st. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up. It really does help my channel. And if you liked this, then stick around and subscribe and you can find out what I think of my picks. And I will see you all very soon on that opening live show. Bye! One day I will be good at this. Today is not that day.